Good morning, everybody. My name is Fakay Jen. This is my documentary presentation. Today, we're going to talk about Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland was born on March 18, 1837, Cottonwood, New Jersey. Grover Cleveland's biggest struggle was his father's death. He was 16 at that time. Grover Cleveland's father's death leading him to work. While he was working, he didn't find no food at home, so he had to go to work and find food to provide for the family. He's the sixth child of 9 children. He was working very hard to protect his mom and helping his mom with the food and family and everything else in the home. He helped pay electricity and everything else. As he worked in that, Grover Cleveland could not go to college when he finished high school because his father's death led him to work. As Grover Cleveland worked off his family, helping support to his family, he forgot about his dream of college. He worked with his older brother in New York City and then as a clerk and part-time law student in Buffalo. Although he never attended college, he was admitted to the bar in 1858 at age 22. During the Civil War, Cleveland served as an assistant district attorney for Henry County. He had to avoid military service in the war by hiring a substitution for $300. In later years, his enemies would castigate him as a slacker for having evaded the draft. Nevertheless, Cleveland soon earned a reputation as a hard-working lawyer, representing his argument for memory before Judge Andrew. As a president, he would deliver his inaugural address without something no president had ever done before. In 1870, Cleveland was elected sheriff of Henry County, a position he held until 1873, when he returned to practicing law. By 1881, he had amassed a modest saving account of $75,000. He had also amassed a sizable body weight. Because of his weight, over 250 pounds, he was known to his friend as Big Stevie, a sub-Kent from his early days. In these years before he entered politics, Cleveland was acknowledged as a frequenter of restaurant salons and popular gent who loved to hunt and fish with his male companions, and good men to have as a friend. Thoroughly provincial, he never traveled, seldom read fiction or poetry, infrequently listened to music, and exhibit little interest in high culture of any sort. He enjoyed parties, poker, democratic organizational work, drinking with his buddies, and other simple pleasure. Basically, Grover Cleveland like having pleasure with friends, just going out and going to parties and playing and gambling. Though he had served as a sheriff in Erie County, Cleveland had avoided partisan politics. Though he was surprised when the Buffalo City Democratic Committee tapped him to run for mayor in 1881. As a new man among old faces, Cleveland pulled off a step victory. In 1 year, Mayor Cleveland exposed graft and corruption in the city municipal services, vetoed dozens of Borough appropriations, and set a pace for hard work and efficiency that impressed state leaders in the Democratic parties. Grover Cleveland was married in June 1886. Grover Cleveland gets married in the White House. President Grover Cleveland became the first sitting president to marry in the White House on this day in 1886. Cleveland entered the White House as a bachelor and lived with a married man and a father of two. His new wife was a beautiful young woman, 27 years and his junior, named Frances Folsom. Frances was the daughter of a former law partner in Cleveland legal Warren. Cleveland had literally known her since she was born. When she was 11, Frances' father died and Cleveland became her legal guardian. Remaining close friends with her mother, his pet names for Frances was Frank. Observed thought Cleveland would marry his friend's widow, and they're completely surprised when instead he married Frances as soon as she turned 21. And other White House first, Frances and Cleveland's second daughter Esther became the first child born to a president in the White House bedroom. Cleveland's sex scandal was well buried. It was about violent sexual assault that resulted in the birth of Cleveland's illegal child. Cleveland sexually assaulted her using force and violence, and said I would destroy her life if it cost $10,000. 6 weeks after that, she demanded marriage because she was pregnant. He took away the child and put him in foster. It was not too long for the media to know.
During and after the American Civil War, people become more interested in the family lives of American presidents. And certainly one of the most notable examples of this happens in 1884, where reporters talk about the probability that Grover Cleveland fathered a child out of wedlock.
In 1873, Grover was a bachelor, and he was infatuated with a very attractive woman named Maria Halpin. Around Christmas of 1873, they happened to encounter each other on a street in Buffalo. They had a nice dinner, and Grover Cleveland was escorting her back to her boarding house. Maria later alleged Grover Cleveland sexually assaulted her. He attacked her, and against her will, they had sex. 6 weeks later, she realized that she was pregnant. Grover was flabbergasted, obviously very upset. She demanded that he marry her. And it got to the point where Cleveland, using his political influence, his money, and his power in Buffalo, arranged to have Maria Halpin committed into an insane asylum. At the same time, he arranged to have his biological son sent to an orphanage.
Now, the truth of the matter was that Cleveland may not have been the father. Maria was apparently perhaps somewhat generous in distributing her affections. But Cleveland had been the only bachelor among them. And so he had done the right thing. He had claimed paternity so that nobody's marriage would be broken up. It says something about him that the last words on his deathbed would be, "I have tried so hard to do right." That's not saying I've done right. It's suggesting a sense that you failed, but you've tried.
Grover Cleveland died on June 24, 1908 at 71 from cancer. At that day, people still remember her as a great president and a great man.